Bukhari reports it this way.
The ailment of Allah's apostle became worse. He said, "Fetch me something so that I may write something to keep you from going astray." The people differed in this matter, and it was not right to differ before a prophet. Some said, "What is wrong with him? Do you think he is delirious? Let's ask him." So they went to the prophet and asked. He said, "Leave me, for my present state is better than what you question me about." Then he ordered them to do 3 things. He said, "Turn the pagans out of the Arabian Peninsula. Give gifts to the foreign delegations as you have seen me dealing with them."
That was it. So like I said, Muslims were never very good at math. Another hadith reports,
Tabari, bring me a tablet or a plank of the shoulder blade and an inkpot so that I can write for you a document after which you will not go astray. Some said, "The messenger of Allah is out of his mind."
This confirms my speculation. Mohammed was proposing a new revelation from himself to keep his followers obedient, even after his death.
Bukhari, when the prophet was on his deathbed and there were some men in his house, he said, "Come near, I will write something to keep you obedient." His companion said, "Allah's apostle is seriously ill, and we have the Koran. Allah's book is sufficient." So they started disputing. Some said, "Give him some writing material." Others said the other way around. So when their differences increased, Allah's apostle said, "Get out." No doubt it was very unfortunate and a great disaster that he was prevented from writing that writing because of their differences and noise.
It wouldn't have made a difference, because it wouldn't have been different. Muhammad was Allah, which is why the Quran and Hadith speak with one voice.
Bukhari, the prophet in his ailment used to say, "Aisha, I feel the pain caused by the food I ate at Khaybar. My aorta is being cut from that poison."
If it were true, Muhammad would be elevated to martyr status. He'd gain a direct pass into Allah's brothel and earn 70 virgins rather than the regular allotment. I dare say Muhammad was no fun to nurse.
Bukhari, we poured medicine on one side of the prophet's mouth, and he started pointing to us, meaning to say, "Don't pour medicine in me." When he felt a little better, he said, "Didn't I forbid you to pour medicine in my mouth?" We said, "We thought it was because of the dislike patients have for them." He said, "Let everyone in the house be given medicine by pouring it in his mouth while I am looking at him."
Blowing and cupping were both prescribed Islamic cures and Satanic practices. The Prophet preferred them.
Bukhari, Aisha said, whenever the Prophet went to bed, he used to cup his hands together and blow over them, rubbing his hands over what parts of his body he was able to rub. He used to do that 3 times. Bukhari, when Allah's apostle became ill, he used to recite the last 2 surahs of the Koran and then blow his breath and pass his hands over himself. When he had his fatal illness, I started reciting and blowing my breath over him as he used to do. Then I rubbed the hand of the Prophet over his body.
The Quran had not yet been ordered, so there was no way of knowing the first surah from the last one. But should Aisha have been right, Muhammad ended his life speaking of himself. The 114th surah says, "I seek refuge with the Lord of men, the King of men, from the evil of the whispering devil who blows temptations into the minds of men, who suggests evil thoughts to the hearts of men, from among the demons and men." It's hard to imagine a more incriminating way for a prophet, especially this one, to end his life. Bukhari, I heard the Prophet while he was lying on his back say, "Oh Allah, forgive me." Even Muhammad could have been forgiven, but not by Allah. And that's why this false prophet was in such agony. Bukhari,
Aisha said, Allah's apostle in his fatal illness used to ask, "Where will I be tomorrow? Where will I be tomorrow?"
This next hadith is as nonsensical as the rest of Islam.
Bukhari, I used to hear the Prophet say that no prophet dies until he is given the option to select either the worldly life or the life of the hereafter.
Sorry, not all prophets are scum, and they certainly aren't this stupid. Mohammed is saying that after a lifetime of dedicating oneself to God's calling and to revealing His truth, prophets are asked if they want to renounce their mission. The first Muslims were a conniving and covetous lot.
Bukhari, Ali came to the house of Allah's apostle during his fatal illness. The people asked, "How is the health of Muhammad this morning?" Ali replied, "He has recovered with the grace of Allah." Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib held him by the hand and said, "He will die from all this ailment, for I know how the faces of the offspring of Abdul Muttalib look at the time of their death. So let us go to him and ask who will take over the Caliphate. If it is given to us, we will know, and if it is given to somebody else, we will inform him, so that he may tell the new ruler to take care of us." Ali said, "If we asked him for the Caliphate and he denied it to us, the people will never give it to us after that."
Loitering in the mosque just outside of the doorway to Aisha's apartment, some Muslims in Tabari
said they were afraid that he might have pleurisy. He said, "Pleurisy is from Satan, and Allah would not inflict it on me." Tabari, before Muhammad died, he cried, "O my Lord, help me overcome the severity of the agony of death." Bukhari, Aisha said, "It was one of the favors of Allah toward me that his apostle expired in my apartment on the day of my turn when he was leaning on my chest, and Allah made my saliva mix with his at his death." Abdurrahman entered upon me with a siwak in his hand, and I was supporting Muhammad against my chest. I saw the Prophet looking at it, and I knew he loved the siwak. So I said, "Shall I take it for you?" He nodded. It was too stiff for him to use, so I softened it as he nodded his approval. He cleaned his teeth with it, crying, "Death has its tortures." Tabari, Aisha said, Muhammad rubbed his teeth with it more energetically than I had ever seen him doing before. Then he put it down, and I found him getting heavy in my lap, and he died.
He knew that he had dispensed some of the most revolting poison ever spoken. Millions would die, and billions would be damned as a result of the words that had left his mouth. So seeing Mohammed use his last measure of life to scrub his mouth of death is the perfect way to say goodbye to the most evil man who had ever lived.